A couple of years ago, I made a video about Judge Doom from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and in that video I talked briefly about the debate of who this Toon in disguise really was. And despite there being many other videos on the topic, I wanted to A, give more in-depth thoughts on it, and B, well, I just wanted another excuse to talk about it. But before I join in on the debate, we need to lay out everything that we know about this guy, starting with the movie. In the film, Toons all live in a separate area from humans called Toontown, which has its own bank, the First National Bank of Toontown. And there was this Toon that robbed the bank of a zillion simoleons, and two private eye detectives, Eddie and Teddy Valiant, were investigating the robbery. They had a very unfortunate encounter with this Toon at a dive bar in Toontown, where he dropped a piano on them from 15 stories up, striking Teddy in the head, and he died instantly, while Eddie suffered a broken arm. And all he could remember was him standing over him laughing with his squeaky voice, staring at him with red eyes moments after he killed his brother. The Toon escaped and disguised himself under the assumed identity of Judge Doom, wearing a rubber mask, false teeth, and fake eyeballs hidden under dark glasses in order to make himself look human. He won the election for the position of Judge of Toontown by buying his way to the top of the election with the money he robbed from the bank, and in turn giving him complete jurisdiction over the Toon City. And he's also the sole stockholder of Cloverleaf Industries, a transit company that purchased Pacific Electric, LA's main public transportation system, for the sole purpose of shutting it down. And this was all part of Doom's scheme to force the people of LA to buy vehicles as their main form of transportation, so they'd have no choice but to commute on a freeway system that he wants to build right through the middle of Toontown. But in order to do this, old Doomer has one major hurdle to get over. He needed to possess the cartoon production company Maroon Studios and Toontown for his plans to flourish. And while RK Maroon was eager to sell the Cloverleaf, Marvin Acme wasn't about to sell Toontown. And so Maroon hires Eddie to take scandalous pictures of Jessica and Marvin Acme literally playing patty cake for no other reason than to upset Roger and give authorities reason to believe that he was responsible for Marvin Acme's murder. So with Acme out of the way and Roger taking the blame for it, the last thing Doom really needs is Marvin Acme's will, in which he knows Toontown will be left to the Toons. But if it doesn't show up, Doom will gain ownership of Toontown, and his plans of wiping it clean with his concoction, the Dip, will blossom and his freeway will be built. Well, needless to say, Eddie not only discovers Doom's plan, but also discovers that he is in fact the Toon that killed his brother. His red eyes are exposed, along with his yellow shape-shifting hand, and Doom is ultimately taken out by his own creation. And all that's left of him are his clothes, his fake teeth, and rubber mask soaking in a pool of yellow paint. And everybody, including all the Toons, are left wondering, who was he? And in the movie, that's all we're really left with. Definitively. Because if you look really closely in RK Maroon's office, there's a poster for the cartoon pistol-packing Possum, a character that was made up exclusively for this poster. Many have speculated that this could be an Easter egg put in the movie to hint towards who Doom really is. The Possum is dressed in this kinda similar outfit, wearing a similar fedora hat. He has the same red eyes the Judge has, but possibly the biggest clue here is the fact that he has the same gun as Doom. But the icing on the cake is when Eddie is interrogating Maroon, and he sees the reflection of Doom's gun on the glass of the Possum's poster frame. Now many have said, oh, this poster's just a set piece placed there so Eddie can see the reflection of Doom's gun, and any other connection at all is coincidence. I do think it's a theory worth considering, but my problem with it is the yellow paint. Doom's shape-shifting hand is yellow, and the Possum is tan with white gloves. The Possum is regular skin color. I screw that up. And my first thought while trying to convince myself that this character was the Judge was, maybe the Judge has yellow hands and the rest of him is tan, and maybe the Possum is just wearing white gloves. But then I quickly remembered that his remains were all yellow except around the eyes. It just doesn't add up. I think if the filmmakers had any intention of linking this to Judge Doom's identity, it was purely to spark speculation. It really seems like a very deliberate decision to have Eddie spot the reflection of Doom's gun in a poster that has very similar traits as the Judge. But in my opinion, it's a dead lead. Based on movie lore alone, nobody knows who he is, and nobody would. Until a certain comic book came out. The resurrection of Doom takes place about a week after the events of the movie. Roger and Jessica are sitting in a movie theater when a news story plays on the screen about Doom's death. And here it's revealed that he's a Toon named Baron Von Rotten, who was commissioned to play the villain in many cartoons and gained the title of the Toon of 1,000 Faces. But during the filming of a cartoon strip, an exploding grenade left him unconscious for 2 weeks, and when he came to, his personality changed, and his eyes were now all blazing red. After the accident, he was rarely seen in public without wearing makeup of characters that he played, and would actually stay in character long after filming wrapped, and that meant very few people knew what he looked like. The press took a tour of his mansion and found ink and paint brushes, along with photo retouching equipment, presumably for altering his appearance, along with a large multi-plane camera that he allegedly stole. And the news story ends with the image of Eddie Valiant holding a model sheet of Baron von Ratten. Doom is then resurrected by weasels, who are presumably related to the original weasels from the movie. While they find that old model sheet, have an evil-looking painter color it in, and zap it with the multiplane camera, and Doom is brought back to life. The comic goes on from there in a story where Doom wants to get his revenge on Eddie and Roger, disguising himself as C.B. Maroon, R.K. Maroon's twin brother, in a scheme to destroy Roger's career, which in the end Doom falls at the hands of his own creation, and it's visually way more disturbing here than in the movie. And with that, we know everything we need to know about who Judge Doom really is. Right? Well, for many of the buck stops here, and this is the end-all be-all. Judge Doom is Baron von Ratten. It even says so on Google. But I have some thoughts. First and foremost, there is no yellow paint to be seen in his true form. Well, that at least was going to be an argument I was going to stand by until I actually read the comic for myself. Ink, paint, and photo retouching equipment was found in his home, so he could have changed his appearance there. This does, however, bring back Pistol Packin Possum as a tangible theory based on this lore. Maybe it's not his real identity, but maybe he played him. And this can also explain why his red eyes take on a different appearance in the comic. But as smart and cunning as Judge Doom is, why would he disguise himself as his true form in the movie? The comic book implies that this is it, yeah? Even though only a few people knew what he looked like, that would still put him at a higher risk of being discovered, and I think this Toon is much smarter than that, and I personally think his true form would look nothing like this. The only thing that makes sense to me is if this model sheet was of another character that he played at one point. And again, why would he disguise himself as a known character that he played? Sure, the glasses and the hat help, but it still puts him at a pretty high risk of being discovered. But the even bigger question is, if he's able to change his appearance so much, then who's to say Baron von Ratten isn't just another character that he played? Maybe it's just another persona that he publicly took on before he robbed the bank. Do we really know? Which brings us right back to where we were when the movie ended. Who is he? And that's the fun part about this character. It's a mystery, kind of like the Joker from The Dark Knight. I've always loved that they left Judge Doom a big question mark at the end of the movie, and when I discovered this comic book many years ago, it kind of took a lot of the magic out for me. Not everything needs a definitive answer. Sometimes it's more fun being left up to the imagination, and that's how I think it should be for Judge Doom. So to me personally, Baron von Ratten is just another theory. But I don't know, do you have any Judge Doom theories? Do you agree or disagree with what I said? Let me know, because that's also part of the fun. But yeah, that's all I got for you. Thanks so much for watching. Like and subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, I'm done here. Bye.